Welcome to the ACT Math Prep Zone, your go-to resource for conquering the ACT Math exam. My name is Rachel Ely. I am a high school math teacher with 25 years experience teaching mathematics and 5 years experience helping students prepare for the ACT exam. I will do a number of types of videos on this YouTube channel. I'll do in-depth video tutorials, tips and tricks for effective test taking, and step-by-step solutions for ACT style math problems. Today we're going to look at a trick for conquering the ACT math exam. I call this the 3-pass method. Now, when you take the ACT exam, this is different than any test that you'll take in high school in your high school math classes because it covers so much information. It covers all of your elementary and high school math curriculum that you can't conquer it the same way as you would a traditional math class, working problem by problem by problem. You have only 60 minutes to work 60 problems, so you need to come up with a way to manage your time. And this 3-pass method is the most effective way my students have found to manage their time while taking the ACT exam. Now, you go through the questions 3 times. The first time, when you read the question, you ask yourself this simple question: can I successfully work this problem in less than 30 seconds? If you know how to work the problem and you can do it quickly, then stop and work that problem right then and there. That is the first pass. Now, if you run to the problem and you know how to work the problem, but it's going to take you longer than 30 seconds, closer to a minute or more than a minute to work it out, put a star next to the number and move on. You want to work all the problems that are easy to you, that you can do very quickly and efficiently first, and then go back to the ones that'll take you a little bit more time. And so that will be the second pass, working the problems you know how to work, but take you a little bit longer to do. And our third pass is the problems that when you read them and you don't know how to solve this problem. Okay. If you're like, where is this coming from? I don't even know half the words in the question. This is a math problem, has no numbers in it. If you can run any of those questions and you're clueless about how to solve it, put a box around the problem number. You'll come back to this on the third pass. Now, why the 3 passes work? The first pass is to get momentum, to get you a lot of successes right around. It helps motivate you. You can work these problems and you can work them successfully. So you go through the entire test working all the problems that you can do quickly and efficiently. Do those. Then go back to problem number 1 and look for all the star problems. Now you're going to work the problems that you know how to work, which are the star problems, but take you a little bit longer. And so by this time, you should be about 40 minutes, 45 minutes into the test. And so you got a good 15 minutes left. So focus on this. Work those problems you know how to do that might take you a little bit extra time. And then after you work all the star problems that you starred, go back and start working the problems that you had boxed. Now, these are the problems that now that if you've spent a good 45, 50, maybe even 55 minutes working math, your brain is now thinking about math, you're focusing on math, and you might have read something or done something in a previous problem that you've worked through that's going to give you a little insight to the ones that when you first read them, you were clueless about how to solve. And you're going to do those box ones. Now, because this is a time test and there's no penalty on the ACT for guessing, keep a close watch on your time. When you get a minute before the end of that section of the exam, stop whatever pass you're on, stop whichever problem you're on, and just guess on the remaining problems. Don't leave any blanks don't leave any blanks in your answer when you get done. So that is what the 3-pass method is. So just to review, the 3-pass method is pass 1, work all the problems you can solve in 30 seconds or less. Pass 2, work all the problems that you marked as a star. So those are problems you can solve but take longer than 30 seconds to work. And pass 3, if you have time, work all the problems you marked with a box, the ones you could not figure out how to work at the very beginning of the test. Okay, so we're going to try the 3-pass method with these 3 problems. So I want you to read through these questions, and if you know how to solve the question and you can answer it within 30 seconds, I want you to go ahead and answer it. Now, if you read the problem and you know how to work it, but it's going to take you a little bit longer, I want you to put a star next to the problem number. And if it's something that you're not sure how to work, I want you to box in the problem number and then move on. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pause this. I want you to pause this video and do that and work out any of the questions you can first. Once you finish, push play, and then I'll work through this. But before we do that, please like, subscribe, and click the bell for any future videos from me if you like this video so far. Okay, today we're going to look at how to implement the 3-pass method. Graphing the same standard XY coordinate plane are a circle and a parabola. The circle has radius 3 and the center at 0, 0. The parabola has a vertex at -3, -2, has a vertical axis of symmetry, and passes through the point -2, -1. The circle and the parabola intersect at how many points? I think I can figure this out because I know a lot about circle and I know a lot about parabola. But this might take me a while to figure it out. So what I'm going to do is to star this problem and come back to it in past 2. Question number 2, 40% of 250 is equal to 60% of what number? Oh, okay, I can answer this because I can just translate this into an equation. 40% of means multiplication, means equal to sign. So 0.4 times 250 equals 0.6 times some number, which I'll call x. So solving for x, I need to divide each side by 0.6. So it gives me 0.4 times 260 divided by 0.6. Just using my calculator, punching that in, I get 166 and 0.666 repeating. So that's 166 and 2/3. So that is choice H. Now, if you did not know how to translate this into equation, you could also do check out with the answer choices to see, because I know 0.4 times 40% of 250 is 100, because 0.4 times 250 is 100. I need to figure out 0.6 times each of my answer choices. So 0.6 times 150, and if I get a answer of 100 is correct, but this one I get 90, so it's not correct. My next choice answer, 160 times 0.6. That gives me 96. That's not correct. So 166 and 2/3 times 0.6 also gives me 99.99 repeating. And so that is 100. That rounds to 100. And so I would choose choice H. Okay, let's look at number 3. For all non-negative values of a and b, the value for which the following expression is always negative. Okay, there's no problems in this one. I'm not sure how to approach this problem, so I'm going to box it in and come back to it at the end when my brain is all warmed up and ready to work math. Okay, so now we've completed our first pass. So you would do this for the entire 60 problems, working like I did in problem number 2, the ones that you can work quickly and efficiently and know how to work. Now we're going to work on pass 2. Pass 2 is when you go back and you work all the problems you have starred. So question number 1, I starred. So let's look at this question number 1, see if we can figure out how to work through it. So I know I have a circle and a parabola. The circle has a radius of 3 and a center at 0, 0. So I'm going to try graphically. And I'm going to just sketch this graph really quickly on my paper. I'm going to be very careful when I'm sketching my graph to make sure I do each of my tick marks nice and equally spaced. And so I can actually use this grid to help me decide. If I draw a poor circle or a poor graph, it might not be I might not be able to use it to make my conclusion. So since the circle has a center at 0, 0 and a radius at 3, that means I can go out a distance in 3 in all directions from that center. And then I connect those outside dots with a circle. Now, part of my drawing, I can't draw circles very well. It always looks more like an ellipse than a circle. Now let's talk about the parabola. Parabola has a vertex at -3 and -2. So that means the vertex is the bottom, top, left, or right of the parabola. So I have a dot there. Then I notice that it says it has a vertical axis of symmetry. So if the axis of symmetry, remember, that's the line that goes through the vertex, and that is the center of that's the line of symmetry for our graph. So I have to draw this vertical. So that means my graph is now opening up or down. Then it gives me of the point -2, -1. So that means my graph is opening up. Now, since this is a center, we know that we have to go the exact same direction, distance from our axis of symmetry in the other way. And that really gives me, I can draw this really easy and see that the parabola only intersects the circle twice. So my answer is C. Then you would work all the star problems in the problem. Then you go back into work the box problems. Now for this problem, we want all non-zero values of A and B. So what does non-negative values of A and B mean? Well, that means any number except 0. And that we want our expression to always be negative. So I'm going to do counter examples through this. So I'm going to try coming up with an example of an A and B, that any number where A and B is either positive or negative, and where A is less than B or A is greater than B. And see if I can come up with a number that is positive, that is not negative, because it says always negative. So I'm just going to work through my answer choices and see if I can get a counterexample. So A minus B. Well, if A is 7 and B is 5, 7 minus 5 gives me a positive answer, so A is thrown out. B, negative A minus B. Well, let's say, what if our A is 2 and our B is negative 5? So that gives us minus 2 minus a negative 5, or negative 2 plus 5, which gives us a positive 3. So B's choice is not correct. Okay, then I'm going to look at C choice. Now, absolute value, we have to remember what absolute value means. So absolute value of any number, we're going to take the absolute value of any number, it's going to give me a positive value. So this is going to be a positive plus a positive, which we know has to be a positive answer. All right, D gives us the absolute value minus absolute value. Now, we need to come up with an example that's going to give us a positive. So this time I'm going to let my A equal 5 and my B equal 1. So if I have absolute value of 5 minus absolute value of 1, that's 5 minus 1, which is 4, which is a positive answer. So that does not work. So E by default has to be our answer, and so I can put that in, but I can also go through some examples. Well, again, remember, absolute value is always going to have a positive. So I have a negative, a positive, so that's a negative number minus a number. A negative number minus a number is going to give me a negative always. And so that's handy dandy. So if you want to try concrete answers, I can let A equal 5 and B equals 1. So negative 5 minus 1 is going to give us a negative answer. Or you can think of it as negative a number minus a number is always going to be a negative answer. So that can give us choice E, is always negative. And until I see you again, stay sharp, stay focused, and ace the ACT math.